Hello, good people. Michael here from the Drawing Journey. Welcome to my living room. Welcome to this morning with messy hair and puffy eyes and everything, right? I'm home alone. So I figured what better way to spend this morning than to try and draw this piranha that I've had an idea to do for a little while. The most famed, feared and fabled of fishies, right? So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to let you follow along with the entire process. I'm also going to be doing an actual tutorial for this, like a step-by-step thing, which will be on my website. I will put the description in the link, in the description below the video, so you can follow along and do the whole thing step by step in your own tempo. Add your own touches if you like. I will be taking some liberties as I am primarily a cartoonish style drawer, if you will. I'm not that much into realism. But I also think that if you're drawing something that is supposed to resemble something specific, it kind of has to have just a few of the basic features, right? It has to, can't just draw any old fish and call it a piranha because I think a piranha is cool. So that's what I'll be doing. But we'll see how it turns out. Enough of my ugly muck, let's get down to some drawing.
So the first thing I'm doing is I am getting down the basic shape of the body. And in the beginning here I am drawing very lightly, as I'm still sort of experimenting with the shape and finding the lines that I like, and I might very well be erasing some of these later on. And now I am placing a guideline which will represent the sagittal plane of the body of the fish, which is the line going from head to tail, directly in the center of the body if you were to look at the fish directly from above or below. And afterwards, as you can see, I just placed the mouth, the initial line for the mouth, and now I'm working on the tail section and going into the actual tail of the fish. And just a quick side note here, as you can probably tell, I have sped up the video just a little bit just to keep the video relatively short. So if you can't follow along with my superhuman drawing speeds here, which I certainly couldn't, then just pause the video, get the details down, and move on, right? And here comes the first fin, the dorsal fin. And as you can see, I started out with a very basic shape, and then I am adding some wavy lines, some curvy lines on top of the fin, just to give it a little bit more character and life. And moving on to the other fins, starting with the anal fin. Yes, that is what it's called. The soft dorsal fin, I believe the small one behind the dorsal fin is called, and now the pectoral fins. So that is just a little bit of a fish anatomy 101 here. And now moving on to the eyes, which will look absolutely nothing like actual fish eyes, but that is the creative liberty, right? And again, I am using the guideline, the sagittal plane guideline from before, to place the eyes correctly to get a three-dimensional feel to the body of the fish. Adding some details to the mouth. If you look at a picture of a piranha, you will see that they look like they have a pretty significant underbite and like a thick lower lip. So I am putting that in there. And cleaning up a little bit, erasing some guidelines, including my sagittal plane. time to add these spines to the fins. I mean, at least I know they're called dorsal spines for the dorsal fin. I'm not entirely sure about the other fins. If you know this, or if you have a better suggestion, please by all means leave me a comment. I will be happy to read it and expand my knowledge on fish anatomy. But for now, I am sticking with spines. And now I'm just adding some more details to give the fish a little bit more character, basically. The first thing I'm doing here is just adding a few small cracks and irregularities, battle scars if you will, to the fins and the tail of my piranha. Just to give him sort of a sense that he's been around for a little bit and he's seen his fair share of life's hassles, as have I myself. So on a practical note, as you can see, what I'm actually doing is just basically drawing on top of the very fine line that I laid down at the beginning when I was putting down the basic shape of the fins. And I'm just drawing on top of that and just adding small irregularities just to add character and make the whole thing a little bit more interesting. And now I am adding a few more details to the eyes. And that is pretty much the name of the game from here on out, right? Is details and polishing up the entire drawing, like cleaning up the lines and sharpening up stuff. I mean, the basic shape of the fish is there, right? But adding all the details, the finishing touches, is a huge part of the process. And now to just add a little hint of a background, I am putting in some bubbles. And now on to the shading. I am using basic cross hatching for this one here. So in the beginning here it's just small lines that I'm sort of flicking with my wrist, and I'm keeping them in a direction that will underline the shape of the object that I am shading. So in this case, obviously it is the body of the fish, so sort of the rounding of the belly, and now the fins. And on this next pass here, I am going across in the opposite direction from the first pass. This is where the cross of cross-hatching comes into play, right? But I am still keeping with the basic shape of the object. One of the most basic principles of shading, obviously, is that you establish a light source and then you shade according to that, right? So opposite the direction of the light source. So in this case, I have decided that my light source is coming from above, which means that primarily the lower parts of the fish will be the ones that have shading. So obviously the belly of the fish, the lower lip there, and underneath the eyes here, and so on and so forth. And after having shaded the bubbles, I actually decided that I didn't like them too much. I thought there were too many of them and they were too close to each other. So out comes the trusty eraser. You always gotta stay open to change, right? And a new batch of bubbles. And there you have it. This is my take on a cartoon-style piranha. You can find the full tutorial with illustrations on thedrawingjourney.com. I will post the full link in the description below the video, so go check that out. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.